Well, Melissa, I'm so glad to get to host this conversation today as we talk through kind of what does creating culture in your startup and the company that you're founding, and that doesn't have to wait till you actually have lots of people. So a little spoiler there, but yeah, I'm excited to share your expertise with the community. So will you go ahead and just introduce yourself and kind of what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, right on. Well, I'm Melissa, and I founded my company, ThriveOps Labs, which is a company of one. And my mission is really to help people, teams, and companies thrive. So my background and experience has spanned mostly in biotech and tech over the last 12, 13 years. So I started my career in HR, talent, and culture in a small company called Genealogics here in Canada. And we started as a company of 25 when I was there and grew to about 60 people. And then we were acquired by a Fortune 500 company down in the States called Illumina. And that was kind of the ultimate opportunity in terms of our acquisition portfolio. Like that was the number one pick, which was really exciting. And so I worked at Illumina for 2 years. And in that time, they grew from being a company of about 4,200 to a company of 8,000. So I saw a lot of growth there as well. From there, I went to another small startup and we grew that team from 25 to 50. And then we merged with another Canadian company of about 40 people. So that's kind of my M&A experience. I was the project lead for both of those and obviously managed all the culture changes that we stumbled through along the way. And then in the last few years, I've predominantly just been working with founders, really on the one-to-one basis and with their small teams. So mostly people under 5 employees or maybe 6 or 7. I really like this size, I think, because there is so much impact to be had when you're just working with a founder. It can have a massive impact on the product, the team, and all the things. So that's kind of where my focus has been in the last while.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Yeah, I love the different types of experience that you're bringing in to this conversation, but also that it's you've been in those shoes, you've been walking with people in those shoes as founders, and so I'm excited to dive in. So let's jump into the framework and kind of look at what is culture, what does creating culture look like in each of these stages. All right. Well, let's jump into our next stage, which is our adoption stage. So we've left discovery with our validated offer. So we know, all right, this is what I want to sell. It's ready to sell. And so now in adoption, we're going to start selling it. And adoption is it's a transitional stage. So a little hint towards the next stage is our sustainability. And that's, kind of taking our ideal month and making it every month. And so adoption is going from I have something I know will sell to I've sold it enough that I'm getting my ideal monthly revenue. So it's building that up. So again, a lot of activity, things get busy, things get stressful in this time frame. I'm sure that's going to play in, and the number of people starts getting greater. So what would you want to say to a founder who's in this adoption stage? They're trying to bring their offer to market and really hit that ideal monthly revenue.
Yeah, this is a fun stage, right? Because this is where you almost start getting a little bit more confidence, I think, too, and things aren't so overwhelming. Yeah, I think that you want to, again, think of your customer and what you're selling them and really make sure that you're selling that to your employees in a way that they understand, hey, what am I here to be creating and what is my role in it? I also think that this is when you need to start having like more systems take shape. Like you should start having like an onboarding checklist for every new person that comes in. Make sure that you're showing your team your product demo and explaining the journey of your clients, and just make sure that they are really in the loop. You're usually small enough at this time that people enjoy having more context to what they're doing. And so it's a really good time to be oversharing on what's going on, and then using your team to really help you to collaborate with and improve. I think it's really about turning this like momentum that you're starting to have. It's like this is where you have to turn it into like a rhythm.
Yeah. No, that's, and well, I can see how in that time frame, like you said, you got new people coming in, and it's still early, and they want to hear like, "Hey, what happened?" But for those who were there before, it's probably really natural to forget that it's like, "Oh yeah, you don't know the things that happened, a year
Yeah.
ago or a month ago or even a week ago," and you just kind of assume like, well, the rest of us have been here since the beginning, more or less, and so there's this kind of this gap of knowledge that may not be perceivable from those who have been there. So I like how you named, bringing in some process to pass that on. That's really,
Yeah. That's where like your change log could turn into like a timeline over the last
yeah.
12 months, right? Like you think of the larger companies and you see like this is how they got here over the last
Mhm.
15 years. When you're at that stage, it's like how did you get here in the last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where did this come from? This didn't exist, a year ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. And that can also, as a founder, that can be a fun, you can turn that into kind of a celebratory moment. I mean, I think I talk to people a lot of times when they're discouraged of like looking up the mountain and they're like, oh, we're never going to get, whether it's that ideal revenue or some goal even beyond that. But it's like, hey, let's look back. You've actually hiked up pretty far. You're not at the base anymore. And so
Yes.
even that onboarding can be kind of a moment to recognize and celebrate. I like how, or go ahead. Yeah, looks like you're
Yeah, I
interested.
was just gonna say, and it's also a good chance to kind of tell your new hires what you've already learned because
Mm,
they want to come in with all these new ideas and things. And it's like you want them to come with new ideas, not the ideas that you've already explored, right? So if you can kind of expose that to them, like, hey, we've already figured out all this stuff, I think it really helps.
no, because yeah, you want to invite that enthusiasm. You don't want to dampen it
Yeah.
because, oh, we actually did that thing that you're trying to suggest a week ago. I like that. That's a good way to protect and actually like call forth that enthusiasm that new people do
Yeah.
bring. Okay, so as you're adding these different people, though, there's going to be some people who are co-located. Probably there might be some people who are distributed. There's some people who are full time. There's some who are contract, or some who may be kind of offshore and only interact through one person, or like there can be a lot of buckets if we tried to categorize kind of how does everyone connect. Any insight as far as like, well, how do you create culture when you kind of have these different spaces and kinds of interaction as a team?
That's such a good call. Good question. I think that you have to create a rhythm for your team in which communications are regularly happening, top down, bottom up, whatever you're probably pretty flat at this point, which we love, right? And it can be as simple as like having a Slack channel where you do a weekly update to each other. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm blocked on. This is this is the work that you can expect that I'm going to finish this week and that you're going to have to deal with next. Right? That communication I think is so easy. Of course, we love Loom. Maybe do sharesies of something really great that you've done. Just I think if you start erring on the side of over communication in the beginning, you can reel it back, but it's really hard to go and start communicating more when you haven't created those cadences. So yeah, it could just be as simple as a weekly stand up.
No, I think that's great. And like you said, those aren't complicated steps, but they go a really long way. And the power is in the rhythm of them. Founding is not an easy journey, and as we've talked through all of these stages, we see that there's a lot of highs, there's good things, there's lows, there's monotonous things, but the culture does really frame how that works all together. And even as we were wrapping up with events, I thought it was interesting that, as you're talking about like, how a lot of it rests on you as a founder, kind of navigating the unscripted. But a lot of that is formed way back in the first thing we talked about, in that existential stage, when you talked about it being a personal operating system and you kind of have a culture of one. Hey, if you take the time and you are intentional in forming that early, then you have it when you face the unexpected. And if you don't cultivate that and you don't strengthen it, then you don't have that foundation when you hit those unexpected changes. So I like how that actually kind of came full circle there. But as we kind of wrap up though, Melissa, what would you want to say to a founder, just kind of as we think about the whole journey, as they're creating culture, as they're leading? Any exhortations, any encouragements or guidance you want to leave with our founding community here?
Oh, well, I think I said it in the beginning too. It's like this is such a personal growth opportunity, right? And I think stepping into the fact that you're a leader early is a really good move. And this process of developing yourself is so important because people want you to see you level up, and you're going to want it for yourself. So doing the things that you need to do in order for that to happen, take the time out when you need the time out. If you're somebody who doesn't need the time out, great. But if you are, show your team who you are and that you take little breaks. It's another thing. It's like understanding how much your team and your company wants to know about your personal life. Just because you're a founder doesn't mean they have to know all the nitty-gritty details, right? That's not everyone's style. And so, giving yourself the grace and permission that, these are the boundaries that I'm going to have and create. And if you don't have those and that's the way you operate too, go for it. Just really being conscious, I think, of yourself can pay off so much at all stages. And so, if that's working with a coach early on or bringing on a co-founder to, help your gaps, is that getting an HR or chief of staff or someone that you can lean on to? Definitely having people in your corner you can trust is so helpful. It can be lonely at the top, so try and as you're growing your crew and your company, you definitely want to create a little team that you can trust, and vice versa.
Well, I appreciate you, encouraging us and exhorting us, guiding us as we walk through all those stages. Just continue to hear the themes of knowing yourself, of that self-awareness, of intentionality and communication. And it just seems like, okay, if you're, as a founder, if you're listening to this and whichever stage you're in, those are probably some of the levers you're going to pull. But I encourage, if you're just listening to one of the stages, go back and listen to the others, because they do all weave together really naturally. So Melissa, thanks for sharing with the community. I love this interview. It's been a lot of fun. I think it will be a huge blessing to all of our founders. So thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.